Hey, folks. Thanks for the heads up on the sound and chat there. As soon as you guys mentioned it, I realized what I had done. It was an output setting in my virtual mixer. So thank you. That helps. So I know if in the future what I have to do. So I'm really sorry about that. And thank you so much for saying something, all of you in chat. Happy Monday. Happy week. Happy October. Again, we're going to keep saying that because I love October. Let me check in with you guys here in chat. I've got Bjorn Jorgensen. Jim Largo, who says, "Great, oogly moogly, Toy Grinds Live is back in action, now with new hats. Figures sold separately, batteries not included. Bjorn adds, some assembly required." I'm not sure what assembly is required, but I'll leave that to you guys. Bjorn committed a toy sin and bought a Funko Pop, but it was Boy Meets World, so that's okay. That's okay. I also see Kieran Ball. I see Wilhelm Toy and Hobby. If you haven't subscribed to his channel, you need to do it. I'm just saying, you need to do it. Do it. Speaking of channels you should subscribe to us, he's Sergeant Slaughter's Slaughterhouse. Say that 3 times fast. Or don't, and just subscribe to Zazel's channel. He's amazing. Go do it. Jason Garcia is here. Nolan is here. Boba Hicks is here. Whose Instagram you should definitely follow. Jim Largo, again, guess what? He's also on Instagram. Check him out. Also see is there anybody else? Gotatron is here. Yes, I think that's everybody. And if I missed you, I apologize. The scroll is not my friend today. But I'm glad to see you all here. Now, today does not have a specific topic like I normally like to end things with. We have a little bit of news, some orders, some price drops, and I just want to take a little bit more time with each thing that we talk about. Okay? So I thought that would be the way to go. This might end up being less than 90 minutes, but I want to make sure we're having a fun show for everybody. Also, how jealous are all of you of my Superpowers collection hat? You should be. It's over on Redbubble. Go get it. Unlicensed, but it's a great hat. Get it while you can. I have a matching shirt that I haven't worn yet, and I'll probably wear that next week with something else. So, I'm going to start right off with something that Jim Largo tipped me off to. For those of you that don't have it, I thought this was long gone in terms of availability, but it is not. So let me show you. The Ultimate Marvel Legends Captain America with the motorcycle today is down by 25% to $44.99 US. It's a great price for what it is, and it has some of the best moldings for Captain America in the old scale or the old uniform. It's got the shield. Not a huge fan of the head sculpt myself, but the motorcycle and the rest of the body are to die for. Definitely good stuff to be had. And the helmet comes off, which means you could probably finagle it with another Steve Rogers head if you really needed to. It's a great piece. At that price, I couldn't say no. I know that it pairs really well with Action Force because that's what Jim told me that pushed me over the edge. So right there, that gives you some cool ideas. Even comes with some cool World War II weaponry, a lot of working holsters. It's a great set, and at that price, like, how can you say no to the darn thing? Okay, so if this is something that you've been interested in and maybe thought it was getting away from you, this would be a good place to get it at what I would consider to be a very good price. If you consider paying $20 for the figure, you're then paying $25 US for the motorcycle. And if you're buying the motorcycle for $44, then you're just getting a figure for free. Either way, I think the value is definitely there. And Jim Largo does say that the MCU Captain America head will fit if you want to change it up. And I have a couple MCU Captain America heads, so I think that's a great one. It's good stuff. Woolman Cardboard's here too. Nice to see you, pal. But again, if you've been into this and you, like I thought that this was no longer an attainable piece, I haven't seen it around in my suggested feeds or anything. But for them to have it at that price, no brainer, snag it. Okay. And I definitely want to open up the floor. If there's other stuff that you guys see of this ilk, let me know. These are the kinds of things I want to bring up to people because it's one of those things that we tend to miss as a community. Sometimes, we forget there. Some people may have missed something the first time. Maybe or we just are seeing a price drop where there's a value proposition for troop building or customization or whatever the case may be. Um, and just to drive that point home, price drops are not something that I can always catch. I do my best with following the accounts that I do. But were it not for Jim, I wouldn't even have thought of this. Jim Largo with a great trivia piece on that. He says, for your information, this was designed by Bobby Valla prior to his exodus from Hasbro, which is just, that gives you that much more reason to get it because Bobby's one of the best toy designers in the world. So just that, plus the link to Action Force, come on, pretty good stuff. And Kieran Ball says that's available in the UK for about $39 US, not difficult to find. Yeah, again, one of those things I just assumed because it was out a long time ago, you can't find it. And one of the things that I gripe about in toy collecting is that no one curates lists of every figure available and where you can get it. I've never seen that. If there is someone out there doing a resource like that, let me know, because it would be a lot easier to keep track of. I used to keep track of all the Motu Origins figures, and I just gave the hell up. For the simple fact that once I caught up and I had everything that had been released in the past, and I'm always ordering the stuff that's coming out, I just kind of leave it as good, with that in mind. Now that said, there is a piece that came out for pre-order over the weekend that didn't have a lot of fanfare, and I want to bring that up because, again, it's something that, it's easy to miss, to be perfectly honest. So let me bring that forward. And that is, and again, many of you may have known about this, but it totally slipped my radar until I saw it today. And that is the Masters of the Universe Origins Deluxe Thunder Punch He-Man, which has a great Thunder Punch effect. He's got his shield there that also holds his sword. It's meant to kind of be a takeoff on the original backpack that was available. I like that. It's nice and functional and neat and fun. And his backpack it looks similar to the original, but you can tell you're not going to be putting any caps in there. There's no sparks coming out of this guy, which is a shame. I wish they would have retained that. But the overall armor redesign looks pretty sharp. It's got some nice little accessories there. But at the end of the day, it's a He-Man. It's another He-Man. If you're not into it, I totally get it. But if you were an enthusiast of this design as a kid and you want that armor set, deluxe price ain't the worst price to pay for this. So, good stuff. I see Rolando Flores. Hi, good to see you. Ian Sweeney's here. Says arriving exactly when I meant to, give or take 10 minutes. Fair enough. But again, if you're a Motu Origins collector and you've been waiting for them to come out with this one, it's here. It just didn't get released with the same wave. It's a separate pre-order, and I think it just kind of got buried. I'd heard that it was coming, but I didn't see anything, so that's why I wanted to make sure that we brought this up in case you missed it over the weekend. So, and again, some of this just might be because I'm busier than I used to be. I don't know. What I can say with certainty is that it was important to me. So, and no one says, I've still got a vintage Thunder Punch, just need more caps. Caps are not that hard to get a hold of, and the vintage Thunder Punch, that's a pricey one last I heard. And Epic Badger is here. Hail the Epic Badger. Hello and howdy and rejoice to you as well, my friend. So, getting into a little bit of news. Sectars, apparently from Nacelle, is gaining some steam. So much so that they fast-tracked a Wave 2. Okay? And they released some prototypes and talked a bit about it at the convention. And we get this news courtesy of our friends over at Pop Insider. So it's going to have Bandor and... Bandor and... What's the other one's name? General Spydrax. So it's also important to mention that Brian from there just says the overwhelming response forced us to kick our hand in the second wave into gear much sooner than planned. Brian Volkweiss. As long as Wave 2 does well as Wave 1 has, so if we see the same numbers on Wave 2 as Wave 1, then they are going to include the Dragonflyer, Trancula, Spiderflyer, and some other insect puppets in future waves. Meaning, as long as they see the support for the figures, we are getting the Sectaur puppets. So, to me, that's a really big thing for him to say, for the simple fact that I didn't think that they were going to do the spider puppets. I really didn't. But I was mildly interested in the figures. Now that they are committing to doing that, if Wave 2 does well, guess what? I'm going to go back and pre-order the figures. Because I didn't pre-order the Sectaurs at all because I was like, without the puppets, who cares? Well, now we've got a commitment that if they do well with Wave 2, they're going to get puppets. Is like, wow. Kind of have to do that because as a kid, Sectaurs were something that I always really wanted. I thought they were so cool, but it was because they had these big mounts, these animals that were really cool. And so this idea that they'll be able to reinvent that is really good. And that comment alone sold me on the line. So I like the idea of having 2 heroes and then 2 villains, and then probably get at least 2 of the puppets, one for the baddies, one for the good guys, and call it a day at the very least. And I definitely see where Jim's going with this. He says he wants to see how Nacelle does with RoboForce. I want to see more RoboForce too. And I don't know if you guys knew this or not. I think I've mentioned this in previous shows. They all run together for me at this point within the last 2 months. But they did change the main robot's name to Max Zero, which some of you have alluded to in the comments for some of the videos I've done. That is his name. So they kind of circumvented all of the potential legal trouble by just changing the character's name. And I think the figures look great. I can't wait to see them in hand myself. I've seen some videos on their Instagram of them playing with the prototypes and stuff. But if the RoboForce plays as well as it looks, these Sectaurs are going to be in really good shape as well. Very cool stuff, and I wish them all of the best. I'm looking forward to seeing what they come up with, and hopefully that the RoboForce on delivery is as good as it looks. And I think that they were hesitant to announce new things with RoboForce in light of what was going on. Now that they've changed the name, which presumably clears up their legal trouble, maybe we'll see some more RoboForce in the very near future. I hope that they do a lot more robots. I love me some robots. Ian Sweeney says it picked up a vintage Lando in skiff disguise with helmet and weapon for £12.99 this week. Ooh. He says, oddly, that was cheaper than buying the accessories separately to go on my existing Landu. All good. And that's a great deal. It's a great deal, man. Good stuff. Epic Badger responded to Kieran saying he only wants the spider hand puppet. Badger saying that the spider hand puppet's equally as flammable as a spider, all are the same to him. That's his very eloquent way of saying he's scared of spiders, which, hey, I get it. I don't mind spiders at all. I love spiders. They are your friends. In fact, I worked very closely with a tarantula on the set of the Adventures in Game Chasing film. We became very fast friends. But if you're not into spiders, I totally get it. I am very, very much not into heights. I will completely lose my mind in the presence of heights. So I don't judge anybody for their phobias at all. Wilhelm defying convention by saying can't have too many Landos, nice score. At any rate, we're going to move forward. The next thing I want to talk about is something that just made me go, why? So in the past, we've talked about store exclusives that don't make sense because they are the kind of de facto or default version of the character to those of us that grew up with it. And this is no exception. In the past, Martian Manhunters, classic look was an exclusive. And this particular character from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles line, I just wanted to bring this up. When I first saw the reveal of this character from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comics, her paint deco does not match what her first appearance was, which was this color scheme of blue and gold. The mainline version of the character in the toy line is more of an orange. And I don't understand. I don't know when she appeared like that. The graphic novels that I have her in this color. I love this character. She's a lot of fun. I don't do the NECA Ninja Turtles, but when I saw that this is a Walmart exclusive, just made me shake my head. Because if I was going to buy it, it would be this color. And that just turns me off completely. And I didn't even know it existed until I saw a link, and I went, what? Why would you do this? I asked. They didn't answer, unfortunately. But if you're into the NECA stuff, if you're into the Turtles, that's probably the one to get for this character. Um, you know, and Bjorn with a good point that his Walmart probably has it. Jim Largo warning me not to say the E word is triggering. I totally get it. I totally get it. And Badger clearing up all possible confusion by saying initial spider interaction is scared, following interaction is violence. Fair. That is fair. So, again, I know that not a lot of you are into NECA in general, let alone NECA Turtles, but, it's a thing. So, something that is a bit of a weird... I'm not sure where this fits in anything. Let me explain. This is a RoboCop 2 Kane model from the Good Smile Company. They don't make anything else for RoboCop at this time. They're considering this part of their Moderoid toy line, model line, and they say it's based on the same scale as the Hagane Works RoboCop and Moderoid ED209, but I don't see it anywhere. And it's part of that toy line. It stands 8 inches, so it's probably in a 6-inch scale, if I had to venture a guess, because he is meant to be much taller than RoboCop, which in a 6-inch scale would be 6 inches. Okay, beautiful looking piece. The price isn't horrible, and I don't think you're going to get much better. And clearly, this model kit has articulation. Otherwise, you wouldn't see them in these dynamic poses. I think it's really cool. There are some different water slide decals you can put on the face. So these are stickers, which is a bit of a disappointment. I wish that they would include extra pieces that you could swap out, but that's not a thing. And they're showing a RoboCop with this. They don't sell a RoboCop, at least on a Big Bad Toy Store. But I do think that the Haya toys would scale probably. But RoboCop 2 gets a lot of flack as a film. I love that film. RoboCop 1 and 2 are great movies. 3, guilty pleasure at best. But RoboCop 2 is really good. And it says you have all the pieces to build RoboCane, those stickers, this water slide decals, and instructions. Doesn't say anything about it being unpainted. So it's coming in the right colors. It's pretty nifty, in my opinion. It's a pass for me just because I've got too many other things coming. And if at the beginning of the year I'm starting to see that I have, space financially to afford them, I will probably end up getting an Ed 209, a RoboCop, and something like this. Because I absolutely love these characters. Largo's asking if you would mind posting the GoFundMe campaigns for Rolo and Zazel in the chat. I don't have Zazel's one handy. Zazel, if it's pinned on your Twitter account, I can grab it and we can certainly show that off for you. Absolutely. Let me double check and see if I can find it real quick. That's a great call out, Jim. Thank you. Let's see if I can find that. Oh, here we go. I got it. Yeah, so The GoFundMe that Badger just put in chat, that is because honestly, I'm going to let you read that GoFundMe if you decide you want to give to it. Totally okay. This is strictly speaking when it comes to healthcare for him moving forward. He is entering into the next stages of his illness, and through a series of events that were beyond his control, um, he's needing to move out of his place, which was not something that we were anticipating him having to do. And as a result, he's got to change his whole tactic with what he's doing moving forward. So that's part of why that's there. But by all means, go to Zazel's and help him meet Sergeant Slaughter, because that's equally important and heartwarming as far as I am concerned, because this is like those once in a lifetime opportunities that happen for folks. And if you haven't, please give to that as well, if you are so inclined and able to do. Jim Largo says, I liked the RoboCop with the jetpack from the third film. I think it's a cool idea, but I think the film was poorly executed in many ways. In as much as the original Frank Miller script got kind of... Frank Decker, who's one of my favorite writer-directors out there, he did Monster Squad, for crying out loud, and he also did Night of the Creepers. And I think they gave him that script, and he went in a direction that was too lighthearted, but that was based upon studio feedback to a certain degree. It just didn't quite match up with what it should have been. If it had the same tone as RoboCop 2, I think it'd been fine. I think the elements of that script work, but the tone of the film kills what little gravitas were in the script to begin with. But RoboCop 1 and 2, no problems with them at all. No problems with them at all. And for those of you who don't know, the guy that directed RoboCop 2 also directed Empire Strikes Back. So if you've been skipping RoboCop 2 for any reason, now you have a reason to check it out. Ian Sweeney says that they saw RoboCop 2 in a cinema off the Champs Elysees a long time ago. Didn't speak or understand much French, and yet I don't feel it affected the film experience. That is the sign of good visual storytelling. There you go. Brick Something is here. Back at you, my friend. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. So, getting back to... Oh, wait. Brick Something says, honestly, I don't remember much past the first RoboCop, but I've seen it all. I saw that RoboCane came up and thought it looked cool, but had no recollection of it. Rewatch RoboCop 2. It's available on streaming, and there's a great collector's edition Blu-ray up on Amazon. Really great transfer, great special features, worth your money, 100%. But check it out in streaming first to make sure it's something you'd watch again. Yeah, they did the TV series as well, which I try very hard not to talk about because it kind of sucks, even though it had some cool ideas. It was one of those situations where with RoboCop 3 and the TV series, the actor doing RoboCop just didn't do it justice. And yeah, Ian, there was a RoboCop cartoon in the late 80s, which is just mind-blowing. And they had little Kenner toys. We did a feature on those on the live show a few months back. I had a couple of them. And it's one of those toy lines I'd love to go back and collect just for the sheer insanity of it, but they're not that good a toy, and I don't want to pay those prices when I can pay the same prices and get good RoboCop stuff now. Yep, RoboCop cartoon and Kenner toy on. You bet. There were 3 or 4 video games of RoboCop versus Terminator. There was a Sega Genesis one, a Super Nintendo one, and I think they did it on one of the disc systems as well initially. I like both the Super Nintendo and Genesis versions. They're completely different games. They're really good. And in fact, the only video game review that I ever did under the That Ruled umbrella was RoboCop versus Terminator. I thought I could make the most fun of it. And I couldn't get through the damn game to review it properly. So, Pure Norton says, the funniest part of the first RoboCop film was when the dude gets really long arms when he's falling out of the building. I would agree with that for the most part, in terms of like accidental things happening. Yep, there's a RoboCop arcade game by Data East, which is great. That was translated in by Data East onto the NES, also onto the Amiga. But if you can get yourself the ROM for the arcade, oh, it's fun. And I don't know what they did by the way they tuned the cabinets and the way that the sound came out. It was like you're in the movie. It was great. It's a great video game, man. Great video game. Lots of fun. Lots of fun. So, moving on to our next pre-order, which we always got to do a what the fuck. So here it is. It's a Shin Godzilla Omega Beast series. So it's his third form, limited edition statue. So he barely does anything, and it's $450 for a statue that does nothing. Now, it's a pretty big boy. 42 and a half centimeters by 50 centimeters. That's big. That's pretty big. But and don't get me wrong, the sculpt is amazing. It really is. But it needs a stand to hold the tail up, which I understand. But if you're going to include a stand for the tail, maybe make it clear plastic and not black plastic. I don't understand. I don't understand. Pope is here, and Pope says, yeah, rated R, but seemed targeted for kids. Turned out all right from Terminator, RoboCop, Aliens, Predator. Exactly. Boba Hicks showing love for Data East. It includes a potty. Yeah, it's kind of a porta potty, isn't it? Epic Badger says the statue does have one feature that creates lots and lots of bureaucracy after purchase. It's true. That's true. Jim Largo says, speaking of video games, any news on the Jada Toys Mega Man and Street Fighter figures? Other than them seeing some reveals at the most recent convention, like some prototypes, I haven't seen anything about pre-orders beyond what we already know. So nothing that I am aware of. But I definitely wanted to show that off, just because it's, again, one of those things where it exists, and I don't understand why. And they have more than one model from that movie because he has like 3 or 4 different forms in that film, which, by the way, the film's great. Shin Godzilla is awesome. If you haven't seen it, seek it out. It's a great movie and it was overshadowed by the legendary films stuff. Really good, cool take on it. And just like the original Godzilla has a lot to say about the state of the Japanese culture and the people and their government at the time. So it's really cool. It just, please watch that movie. It is very, very good. Now, because we're getting close to Halloween, and we did just talk about that Shin Godzilla, I want to call out something. That statue that's about, this big and does pretty much nothing, for less than a quarter of the price, you can get a Godzilla costume that's life size that you can wear yourself. And if I could find decent interior measurements on this, I would strongly consider wearing this thing. I don't think it would fit me. Even with the inflation on, I'd probably rip the thing apart. But if I could be assured that I could fit in it, I would think about it. It's pretty, and it's really cool. You can get it for Big Bad. And it's a good looking costume. Like, it really does the trick. It does the vibe. It's nice. I like it. It's good stuff. Brick Something asks, I wonder how many of those 450 Shin Gojira statues will be made. Always wonder about how many they sell and so forth. Those tend to be a limited run, those types of things. But as far as how many, I couldn't tell you. For example, our minimum runs are like 500. Okay, for the initial run, just to justify the use of the mold. That's why we started at 500 for like the Kraken, for example, because it's the first run for this thing, and get that taken care of. Now, I can't assume that that's the same for every factory or for every type of statue, but that might give you an idea of what they might put out. Ozzy Rules says, well, let's be honest, you would just wear that as pajamas. No, because it's made of vinyl and it's not comfortable. It's the only reason I would not. Epic Badger says, does that costume come with physical harm and fire insurance? It should, though. It should. Gotatron says, Halloween is on a Monday. You should live stream in that costume. That's not happening. I'm sorry to break it to you. It's not happening. If for no other reason than the fan would make too much noise. But it's a cool idea. Ian Sweeney says, you just need a shop dummy. Put the on it, and it's the biggest action figure statue you would own. That's kind of where I was going with this. It's a cool idea. And probably something I could get away with. But again, with the fan noise on it and everything, what I should do is get Marcus to come into the United States and based upon that costume, just sculpt me a Godzilla out of a mannequin. That's what I should do. Pay him some extra money and have him take a vacation, a workcation to do that. I would never do that to him. That's too much work to ask him to do. But it'd be fun. It'd be really fun. And it would be hard to turn that down. Yeah, Giraffe. I think that would be cool to get, because I remember that Hannibal wearing that. I think it was one of the original Godzilla costumes, to be honest. And I always got excited about that when the intro came on, or anytime the episode came on, because I was a big Godzilla fan even as a child. Like, that was a huge thing. It's a huge thing for me. Karen Ball says, Grindhead Jim doesn't need to wear a costume for Halloween. Hang on, that doesn't sound right. You're not wrong. Friends of mine are having a Halloween party at the end of the month. And at first I thought I wasn't going to be able to go because I was under this deluded idea that Retropalooza was that last weekend. It is not. It is a week from this coming weekend. So as a result of that, I will be able to go to the Halloween party. They're like, what are you going to wear? I'm like, some interesting combination of cargo shorts, a black t-shirt, and a hat. That's literally what I'm wearing. I don't know what it is. Might just wear a Godzilla shirt and be like, this is my Godzilla costume. That's probably what's going to happen, to be perfectly honest with you. Ian Sweeney's favorite part of the A-Team was always when the Cylon walked past Dirk Benedict. Yes, that was pretty cool. It's just some weird in-joke kind of stuff. You know, it was almost like a precursor to Ready Player One. It was interesting to me. It's quite good stuff. Now, at any rate, speaking of things coming out of kind of left field, like, now some of you probably are aware of this toy line. And if I've seen it before, it just didn't catch my eye until I saw this. This is a Beast Box Rormero. So it's like a Doberman Pinscher, but in robot form. And these are around 5 inches in height. So they scale real well with 6-inch and 7-inch scale figures as like a dog, but a little bit bigger than a dog. And it kind of reminds me of the Star Warriors a little bit. That's why I was like, ooh, that's pretty cool. And he's like a cool little woof woof, but mechanized. And I think he's really cool. It's got great posability on him. He's $30. It's not going to break the bank. And he breaks down into a cube. This is so neat. You know, and thinking back, we might have talked about this on one of the Patreon shows. But this is cool. This is something you don't really see a lot of. And, you know, I can see Jim Largo getting like a whole, like 3 or 4 of these and then making like a canine unit in Action Force, but with robots instead of dogs. You know, a little bit of a Final Faction, you know, thinking Final Faction with Churro and everything. This is kind of like that. Jim Largo says, I have Beast Box Gunpowder. It's a great wasp drone for Swarm. Well, there you go. There you go. Epic Badger says, this is the line that sells Meerkat Army figures. Holy cow, you guys know a lot about this stuff. Kieran Ball, going back to the A-Team references, of course, Battlestar Galactica hadn't been canceled. The actor who played Face in the A-Team pilot wouldn't have been replaced by Dirk. There you go. There you go. Bjorn Jorgensen's sister says that I look like a knockoff Jack Black. Well, Jack Black can suck my... I don't like Jack Black. I think he's a piece of... Blech. Gotatron, proving that I just don't watch enough of his videos, says, I did a Beast Box video. They're a bit small and fragile. Well, thanks for taking all the air out of the room. I'm just kidding. I do need to watch that video then. Ian Sweeney says, the only robot dog I have is from the core line. It has no articulation, but you can plug in 2 missiles in his hindquarters. Kieran Ball asserting that I'm not a knockoff Jack Black, but I'm a variant. I would argue that Jack Black is a variant of me. Because guess what? There's only one Grindhead Jim, folks, except no substitutions. Because Jack Black thinks he knows what metal is. Spoilers, he does not. He has the metal acumen of a 5-year-old. So, right there, I've got him totally dead to rights. Speaking of things that are dead, here's a Killer Clowns from Outer Space mask. I like this movie. I like this movie a lot. Clowns are scary. This is the best of both of those things. It's a great mask. I saw it. I had to show it to you. That's all there is to it. It's just fun. And if you don't like it, I don't blame you. It's horrifying. That's the idea. It's Halloween. Halloween, 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 Silver Shamrock. Okay. Lots of folks have been... yes, Jim, I know that Final Factor has a nifty robot dog. I mentioned him just now. For really. Epic Badger. Oh, wow, a killer clown mask. Thanks, I hate it. I'm not saying that Jack Black's not funny. Like, his role in Tropic Thunder was amazing. That's one of my favorite movies. But overall, Jack Black is a personality in the majority of films he's been hired in, and I understand he's doing a job. He's annoying. I don't like the way he characterizes, and I really hate Tenacious D. But that's my personal opinion. And as a result, I really don't like being compared to him. And she's the first, and probably will be the last. Normally, I get compared to guys like Kevin James and Tom Segura, people like that. But in any case, Playmobil's been doing some really, really cool stuff. And with Star Trek in particular. And I didn't know these were a thing. And if you're looking for an entryway into getting into the Playmobil Star Trek line, here it is. This is a Star Trek, the original series figure set of, looks like, James Kirk, Mr. Spock, McCoy, and Uhura. Now, granted, I think some of these figures, if not all of them, come with the Enterprise. But if you didn't want to drop the coin on the Enterprise, but you wanted some of these, for $20, you can get them. That's not a bad price for what you're getting. They have some great expressions, some great accessories, and even the box looks pretty nice. Now, that's a good starting point. But if you want an even better starting point, if you feel like plunking down the coin, here is the Star Trek III Search for Spock Klingon Bird of Prey playset. Now, this is phenomenal. And here's why I think so. They didn't just give us a bird of prey from Star Trek 3. They made the stand for the bird of prey the surface of the planet Genesis. That is some genius toy design if I ever saw it. It's got some lights. It looks great. The wings apparently go up and down. And I didn't even realize this, but the stand is also a Klingon symbol. That is really, really cool. So you get a bit of everything. The bridge, it leaves a bit to be desired in terms of scale, but it is cool. Lots of play features on the base. You know, it's supposed to be acting like the exploding planet. You get a Kirk, you get a Spock, and you get a bunch of Klingons and Klingon-y stuff, including a bunch of different things for the view screen. It's a pretty robust little set for $300, I gotta say. I'm genuinely impressed with this. I thought that the Enterprise was, you know, a very, very big coup in toys, and this is no exception. And the price point's a lot less hard on the wallet at $300. So if you're on the fence about Playmobil or if you just like Klingons, like let's say you don't like Playmobil but you like Klingons and you want a bird of prey that's of relatively large size, just take the figures and put them away, and you'll have this. This is a really nice piece. I'm not in on it, but it's It's really nice, and I don't want people to not know that it exists. Do 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 do. Giraffe says Playmobil does Star Trek better than current Paramount. I would not disagree with that. Boba Hicks saying that the Bird of Prey looks nice. It does, doesn't it? Nolan saying it's pretty cool. Johnny Sorensen saying it's only logical. You're not wrong. Ian Sweeney doing a better Scottish accent than I can, or James Doohan saying, you cannot change the laws of physics. Jim, your name is Jim. Yes, it is. Thank you. And that's a line from Star Trek 3, guys, in case you didn't know that. Or you forgot. Brick says, Playmobil's killing it with these licensed products. I can't wait to join in on the fun. They look great. Or can't join in on the fun, they look great. There are Klingons on the starboard bow, starboard bow, starboard bow. I have had enough of you. All right, thank you. Brick says, came really close to getting the A-Team van and kit from Knight Rider. Yeah, every time I see something they put out, they're great. Ian Sweeney calling out the Playmobil Mystery Machine as well. Bjorn's not a Star Trek guy. That's fair. That's fair enough. But for those of you that are Star Trek people, I think this is great. And again, the price is reasonable relative to what you're getting, which I think represents a really big value. You get a ton for that money, honestly. Now, would I love to see these playsets go down even further in price? Yeah, I think, I'd rather see this at 150 and the Enterprise at 200, but that's wishful thinking. You are getting a lot of value out of these for what they charge. And as some reviewers have stated, like if you took out some of the electronics in the Enterprise and the Bird of Prey, maybe you could get to that price point, but this is what it is. And it's, again, really nice piece. It's a hell of a cool companion piece to the Enterprise. Well worth taking a look at for sure, in my opinion. Moving on. Again, something that I did not know existed. So first I'm going to cover, if I covered these before, please tell me, guys, because I don't remember covering these. I didn't know they existed. But for you Star Wars fans, here are some Hot Wheels from Star Wars. So you get the X-Wing, you've got the Slave One, Buffett's starship. You get the Razor Crest and a TIE Fighter from the Wave 1. But just recently announced was their Wave 2, which has the Imperial Shuttle, Darth Vader's TIE Fighter, the Millennium Falcon, which is not really in scale, but pretty darn nice, and the Jedi Interceptor from the prequels. I'm not sure where that price is coming from for 4. It says it's a case of 5 starships, but it only shows you 4. So I don't really know if it's a typo or what's going on. But these are nice if you're into smaller things. Now granted, Jada is doing some great miniatures, but some folks like the even smaller stuff. So it's something that you might want to look into if you're in on that sort of a thing. Again, I didn't know these existed, and I want to bring these up to you. Ian Sweeney bring up a good point that Bird of Prey is not even crowdfunded. You're right. Brick something says, I just noticed the $30 non-refundable deposit. Is that new for Big Bad? Nope, they've been doing that as long as I've been patronizing them. It's for the high dollar stuff. Basically, anything over 100, there's going to be some kind of a deposit on it. Jim Largo says, maybe Playmobil should make Motu Eternia. Too soon? Yeah, a little too soon. Besides Playmobil, He-Man figures, not buying that. Pope always liked the Bird of Prey design. Bjorn asks if the Klingon ship is an X-Wing type ship. I mean, they're two completely different universes, so no. Bird of Prey is a starship. It is a Scout class starship. It's meant to be not comparable to, but it can hold its own. A couple of them can definitely hold their own against the Enterprise. It's not a fighter at all. That's why I said that the bridge has a very big problem with its very small scale. Epic Badger says, if you're interested in the new Star Wars Micro Galaxy Squadron series, Walmart has exclusive packs with multiple ships to start with. That's true. It's good stuff. Ted Millich in the hizzy. Melvor says, Big Bad Toy Store seems to be the only place I can find crazy Devi upgrade kits for old G1 Transformers without paying an arm and a leg. He says, you gotta wait 6 months or so, but it's worth the wait. Good information from the man, the myth, the Melvor. There you go. Finally found a way to make your username make sense. Wolfie's here too. Welcome to the show. So, I like Star Wars probably more than I let on most days. And I don't collect a ton of it. But what I do have, I love, and I'm getting into it. It's just one of those things where you gotta pick your battles. And there are some times when I think about not collecting Star Wars and going with something like the Micro Galaxy or something like that. I don't know. I have plenty of Star Wars stuff already, so I think I'm just in denial is what it is. I think I'm in denial. Ian Sweeney always wanted a Blake's 7 Next Gen crossover episode. Bad guys in the form of being the Federation. Fair enough. That's a good idea. Ted saying that those vehicles are cool, but he can't start another scale. I don't blame you one bit there either. Just to pick back up from our earlier conversation about the NECA Ninja Turtle stuff, there are a couple other figures in the line that are exclusive. They've got a black and white comic accurate Shredder and a black and white comic accurate Foot Soldier. Again, if you're into that sort of thing, they look cool, but I'm not a NECA guy, especially for Ninja Turtles. That's just not something I'm into at all. I don't understand what you're saying. Wolfie giving Bjorn more information on the Bird of Prey. Says Cavort Bird of Prey, what Playmobil was going for, 12 dozen crew, lots of weapons, cloaking device, not a fighter. Exactly. So it's a scout class ship. So it's definitely not a 1-to-1 in terms of class for the Enterprise or anything like her. But you get 2 or 3 of them around, they're going to give the Enterprise a really hard time. Oh, denial. Ha ha ha. Kieran Ball once again with them quick quips. So, 2 more pre-orders to go over here, one of which we've already covered in the past. But for those of you into the Masterverse stuff, they have a He-Man Deluxe Masterverse from the Canon film up for pre-order right now. Looks pretty darn tootin' nice. Comes with a mullet head that is supposed to look like Dolph Lundgren, but not really because they don't have the likeness rights. And they also have a more traditional He-Man head, which I think is a smart move to go with the outfit and so forth. And noticing the cape comes off, it does look like it's soft goods from what I can see here, just based upon what looks like little threadbare stuff in here. But when you take off all his armor and everything, there is definitely some interesting vibes going on there for like those of you that use Savage He-Man for other stuff. There could be some cool customs made out of that figure for sure. And yes, the Skeletor does look amazing. We're going to be looking at him next. 100%. Brick says that the armor looks really good. You guys. Giraffe echoing a point that I made to myself when I saw this. No Dolph, no dice. I agree. I think that they really should have fought for the rights for Dolph Lundgren's face. I love that movie. Unironically, it's just fun. It's not the movie that it should have been, but it is a movie that is, and I enjoy the movie we got, even if it's not the one I wanted. If you take Master of the Universe out of the title and just call it a movie, it's a fun movie. No way around that. Brick something saying he looks something like Beastmaster. You know what? I can see some Mark Singer vibes in there, sure. But with the traditional head and all the armor and everything, it makes a really imposing figure. Exactly. He was at Comic-Con 22 from Mattel. So I don't know how they did not manage to close that deal in time. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me at all. And I can't show that off without also showing off the Frank Langella Skeletor from the film. This is a breathtaking piece, in my opinion. Love the way Frank Langella played the character. He said himself it's one of his favorite roles he ever did. He worked very closely with them on the entire character. And if you're going to do a real life live action Skeletor, this is the design you go for. Like, he is a badass. He too comes with what looks like a soft goods cape. He's got the cosmic key there, looking very samurai-esque with what he's got there. Some cool robes, the nice sword, alternate hands. This is a nice figure. It's a nice figure. And I considered getting all of them. And I have this on pre-order. I'm unsure if I will actually end up with him or not. But man, if you're even remotely into the Masterverse stuff, this one at least is definitely a no-brainer. If you have Masterverse and you don't get this, what are you doing? Like, there's so much you could do with this. And Melvor says Skeletor was a highlight of the movie for sure. Absolutely. I agree. It's a great performance. Hammy, but the best kind of hammy. Brick echoing that point. Ian Sweeney says the He-Man looks like the recent McFarlane Future Skate Worlds of War Superman. Fair enough. And Nolan's definitely in on this one. Fair enough. I think it's a good idea. Yeah, it's got to be a likeness issue, right? Because there's no way Mattel sculptors said that looks like Dolph Lundgren, because it doesn't. They probably did their best, probably in a Monster Squad situation where they want to make it look like it looks like them, but it's not. Whereas this is pretty spot on to the film. Pretty spot on to the film. And the detail on the armor just really blows me away, guys. I love this. If I was more on the Masterverse scale than I was Origins, this would be a no-brainer. If they end up releasing this in Origins, in a heartbeat all day long, right? It's going to happen. So, Jim Largo right away saying, I need Cape Master upgrade for Skeletor's cloak. I agree. Would be very cool. I'm sure Michael's working on something already. Brick says something. I just invested in both the gold and normal motion picture Skeletor Super 7 did. Huh. Okay. Fair. Ian Sweeney asked if Drago figure from recent Rocky line looked like Dolph. I think it does. Far as I know, it does. And if that's true, perhaps that's why they couldn't nail the likeness, because he'd already lent his likeness to something else. That should not cross over, but it's possible. It's entirely possible. World Made of Cardboard asked if Mattel made other characters from the Motu movie. At the time, they did. Saurod, people are talking about Saurod being out there in Origins. I think that would be a great figure to make. There's probably a lot of possibility here, but I haven't seen anything recently, if that's what you're asking. I'm trying to track down this Drago figure just to see. Here we go. Now, there's a statue that came out. Looks like it was either early this year or late last year, judging by when it's estimated to come out, and it does look pretty much spot on like him. It was $1,100 for this statue, kind of like the Apollo that we saw earlier. It's a 20-inch, just 2 foot plus size. So he's like this big. It's a crazy big statue. Crazy big statue. And that definitely has the Lundgren look, if you will. So whether or not this is something that was an exclusive deal and they didn't read the contract correctly, I don't know. But I can say that this certainly nails the look way more than the Masterverse He-Man figure does. That's for certain. Ian Sweeney says, I've not been paying much attention to Masterverse. Have they done a Sorceress? They've announced one, I believe. They've announced one. It's not out yet. Lago says, the little guy that made a Cosmic Key was made for Motu Classics line. Yep. And his name, Gwildor. I must break your wallet. Yes, exactly. 100%. One says, head swap. That's right. And the thing is, like, the customization community can go nuts on this. You could just take the head that's supposed to look like a Lundgren, put it in the hands of a good sculptor. They'll mod it. It'll look great, and then they can just make it and sell it, or 3D printers, or anything along those lines. There's lots of things that could be done there, but the base figure, the accessories for that, it's really good, and I'm glad that it's out there. Um, but I wouldn't blame anyone for not getting it for the simple fact that it doesn't have that likeness, because that's part of what turned me off. And in hindsight, it kind of turned me off to the Skeletor as well. Wolfie says, "Dog, looking at this $1,100 doll statue, I must break you." That's the thing. That type of stuff I don't understand. What kind of person owns these and where they display them? Now, don't get me wrong. I do think that any Rocky film, for the most part, except for 5, is worthy of having some collectibles from. They're all good, with the exception of 5. 4 being probably my favorite. But how one can just have a statue like that costs that much, I don't get it. I don't get it. Jim Largo updating: Sorceress, Roboto, and Stratos are coming to Massiverse soon. Yes. Mulvor asked if he's missed my thoughts on the McFarlane superpower stuff. No, you have not. Even though I thought I brought this up at last week's show, I might not have, because when I mentioned these on Bill's show yesterday, people were like, I haven't seen these. So I am going to bring those up now. It's a good idea to do it while I'm thinking about it. So give me a moment. So we're going to start with the figures, because I know what you all really want to hear about. So McFarlane did announce another wave of superpowers, and this wave looks pretty darn good. The figures we're getting are that's not there. Shit. Hang on. Try that again. I have to actually switch out the screen share. My deepest apologies. There we go. Let's put that right there. There we go. All right, cool. All right, now I can do it. Yay! So they're doing a Nightwing, a Wonder Woman, and a Deathstroke. And I think these look great. Deathstroke in particular, I'm highly interested in. The Wonder Woman is a great sculpt, very simple. Has shades of Linda Carter as well as some different comic book versions. She's definitely going to need a cape upgrade, of course. But overall, I think it's a great sculpt. You'll notice her hand does have a holding hand like the original. So she had better come with her lasso, or else it's a huge miss. Or you can get one made from Cape Master, who is not sponsoring this video, by the way. Then, of course, you get Nightwing, who looks pretty cool. That's definitely Dick Grayson, no question about it. I think that this really illustrates the potential and the legs that this line's going to have in general. It's very, very cool. There's some other rumored stuff that's coming, but I'm just going to wait until we get official announcements, for the simple fact that even though the leaks so far with superpowers have been correct, there have been some minor missteps, and I'd rather wait until they're announced to comment on them. But that said, there is more. There's a Batmobile and an Invisible Jet coming out next spring. Now, my big thing with the Invisible Jet, it's a little stubby, and it needs to be fully invisible, or at least tinted clear. But the fact that we're getting one is great. It's a smart move, and for $20, that price point is perfect. So I can forgive the scale being a little wonky at that price. Same goes for the Batmobile at $30 US. It's kind of a mix of the original Batmobile from the Superpowers line, with a lot of aesthetics taken from the early 90s comic, as well as the 89 Batman Batmobile as well. I love this design. It's a 2-seater that's perfect. And as long as the figures actually can fit in there with 2 figures, I'm all over this. It's really, Really cool design and a great choice. I was very pleased to see this. Do I need another Batmobile? No. But does this Batmobile make me excited? Yeah, it does. The windscreen, I'm hoping they do that orange, just like they did with the Batwing. They do with the blue, just like they did with the Batwing as well. So it all matches. I will get that in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat, because again, the price is right. It's in keeping with the line. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? Jim Largo says, call tech support. Oh, wait, Jim is tech support. Well, not technically anymore, if you want to get technical. But I have 2 decades of experience doing it, so yeah, I should be. I'm my own IP, for sure. And Melvor being responded to by Jim Largo saying that Todd McFarlane is doing a decent job with superpowers, except for the capes. I agree. I agree. Bjorn says, looks like I got more figures to look out for. That's correct, sir. There's folks out there. And Melvor is not wrong when he says that he is better than Gwildor. By a lot. Easier on the eyes, too, I might add. Better hair, too. You're just better. No one says McFarlane is doing great work with the line. I agree. Giraffe says, superpowers choke slam flash door was a little too much on the nose, though. I agree. Giraffe says, have to pretend Batman stuffed Robin in the trunk for now. Can't wait for the Robin figure. Yeah, Robin from Toy Biz or Superpowers is not a horribly expensive get. It's in the right scale, so if you want a Robin figure, get one. Get it capeless, and then find the cape you want over at Cape Master. Win-win. But, Nightwing can ride with Batman for no apparent reason, if you want him to. But, again, I really like these designs, and, granted, I would pay an extra $10 for the Invisible Jet if it was a little bit bigger, but I will not complain until I've seen it in person. I might have some gripes then, but as it is, that's some really cool stuff as far as I'm concerned. Anything superpowers, I'm down for, unless it's a stupid character, like the Batman Who Laughs. I'm not. That's going to be such a peg warmer, dude, for the people that are into it. Melvor says, better hair, but easier on the eyes? That's stretching. And I'm like, no, man. You don't have these, bumpy ass gills and eat chicken wrong. Like, no, you're far better. I much more enjoy my time with you, my friend, than I do the time on screen that character plays in that film. Would never hang out with that motherfucker. Melvor says, I could defeat him with my superpower roundhouse kick. You're not wrong, sir. Roman a Cardboard asks what day I'll be at Retropalooza. I will be there both days, all day. I'm not sure where my table is going to be. I would presume it's going to be in the same alley where all of the guests typically are. But I'll be there both days for sure. Slinging Resurrection Toy stuff for show. In fact, I just got the estimate on the shipping of the stuff that I'm taking to the booth, and I almost choked on my water. It's going to cost us a lot to ship that to the States, to say the least. Jim Largo says a bat cycle for a Nightwing and Superpowers line would be nice. It would be nice, wouldn't it? It's a smart decision. Ian Sweeney says they are releasing a Vincent Price Egghead figure, the McFarlane 66 line. Gotta admit, really want it. Yeah, just for the fact that it's Vincent Price, right? I'm not a 66 guy. That's why I never show that stuff off on the show. And I realize that makes me a bad journalist. But you guys know I'm not a journalist. I'm here to give you a show on opinions of stuff that I think are neat or whatever. It is not meant to be a be-all, end-all of pre-orders and toy news because that's too exhausting of a thing. A Bat wallet would be nice, old chum. I would like the Bat credit card with Bruce Wayne's credit limit on it in his name. I'd be like, then I'd buy all the toys. That'd be so good. So good. So, folks, we're just over an hour here. I do want to break up into discussion and Q&A if you have any. Melvor asks if Jay confirmed Tim Boglin's Clark for the show. I didn't see anything about that, sir. I didn't see anything about that. Doesn't mean he didn't. I just didn't see anything. So, while I'm waiting for those comments to kind of trickle in, I do want to give you guys a bit some news. A lot of you know this, a lot of you don't. On Thursday, I got a promotion at my job, and they gave me a modest raise. So it's not a ton, but it's a raise. But what it does for my career path is that if I were to need to move on to other pastures down the line in my day job, I could demand some pretty high money, and it's easier to get a job doing that work. So they're doing me a huge favor by giving me this job title and giving me this experience. And it's something I want to do. I'll be doing instructional design, which for me is great. It's what my master's degree is in, and I've never gotten to use it. So really, really into it. And if I look like I'm darting my eyes all over the place, it's because I'm now doing 2 jobs during my day job, in addition to the Resurrection Toys stuff, in addition to doing all of this stuff. And I will get into some Resurrection Toy stuff here just in a moment as well. He's like, I'm ready. Promotion, I'm ready. That's right. Brick Something says he's blown away by the Superpowers line, drops seemingly out of nowhere, and waves just pop in stores with little fanfare. That's both a pro and a con as far as I'm concerned. Giraffe said, raise, you say, just in time for Eternia? Well, that's one of the announcements I'd like to make. I'm not buying one. I have decided I am not buying an Eternia. I just can't justify it. Financially, I could probably make it work if I really, really, really wanted it badly enough, but I don't. I don't. I don't want it that bad. Because I had to ask myself, why do you want this? Why do you want an Eternia? And I want it because it's one of those pieces that people always go, whoa, you have an Eternia, wow. Well, that's the only reason that I want it. It's not a good enough reason to get it. Especially when there are other playsets that might be coming, other things that I want that, do I really want to take a 4-foot square part of my, new place to live whenever I get it just to house that thing? And the answer is no, not at that price. If it were $100 to $200 cheaper, it'd be a harder decision. But they made the decision for me with the price, so I am not getting an Eternia, even with the raise. Brick says, congratulations, thank you. Kieran Ball asks if I've seen the Marvel Legends Wakanda Forever Namor action figure. Looks like it belongs in Narnia. Look, I haven't seen the film that he's supposed to appear in, and I'm not going to make any judgments on the figure until I see the actor playing that character. It does not quite look like Namor to me, but then again, Namor used to look like Spock with a crew cut, so I'm not making any judgments on it until I see the actor. Thank you, Wolfie. I appreciate that. Nolan, I appreciate that too. Ian Sweeney says, I have a CD of the Saint Radio series with Vincent Price as Simon Templar. That's cool. Jim Largo says, yeah, Jim gets a raise. So about that investment opportunity in Guatemalan real estate, yeah, not going to happen. No. Epic Badger says, if I melt down all the plastic crossbows I have sitting around from Scarlet's, I could make an Eternia. You're not wrong. You can also sell those crossbows on eBay for a few bucks. I'm just saying, people might want an extra crossbow, especially Action Force people. Crossbows are cool, and they fit all the Hasbro figures with trigger fingers, which they all have now, apparently. So definitely something you could do with the extra crossbows. Faux show. So Rick something has a question. He says, curious, you or other here following Sectars or Animal Warriors of the Kingdom? Animal Warriors of the Kingdom is something I'm interested in, but I'm not following it well enough to be able to comment on where they're at right now. For our Sectars, we did talk about them earlier in the show. Wave 2 just got announced, and they also confirmed that if Wave 2 does well, they are going to be bringing in the puppets, which I'm very excited for. Very much into it. Okay, you just uploaded your vid about it. Okay. Yeah. So I do want to hit you guys a little bit of Resurrection Toys news. We are going to be putting a promotion here shortly after the show, and it's going to be live for the entire week. So until we go live on this show next Monday, anyone, past or present or future Resurrection Toys customer, can get 5% off any order. It's our way of saying thank you for supporting us for our first month, as well as giving us a lot of patience and a lot of latitude to get waves 1, 2, and coming up on wave 3 out. So that's our way of saying thank you. I don't have a coupon code to announce yet, but just keep your eyes peeled on all the Resurrection Toys social media. That's at Resurrection Toy on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. There's no S at the end. So just if you haven't followed there, please do so. Because I also want to announce that no later than the end of the year, so by New Year's Day or sooner, I will not be broadcasting Resurrection Toys stuff on this channel in terms of like co-streaming. So if you want to keep up on the Resurrection Toys brand, you need to go over to that YouTube channel to get those to follow all that stuff. That's plenty of time because the socials for all of those different channels, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, they're all growing at a high enough rate that I'm confident that I can afford to not co-stream it. So don't think you'll be able to fall back on this channel all the time for that stuff, because I do feel that the brand deserves to have its own separation. So if you're interested and you haven't yet subscribed to the Resurrection Toys YouTube channel, you can go to resurrectiontoys.com/YouTube. It'll take you right there and you can subscribe. So we are going to have that coupon code going up in just a few moments after the show. And if you haven't picked up something or have been something you've been meaning to pick up, this week is a great time to do it because you'll be able to combine that with any other offers that are already live, and you'll be able to get some good money off some great toys. And we appreciate everything that you've done up to this point to support us, even if it wasn't buying a toy, but just spouting some pretty kind words. And we do appreciate it. So Brick asks if I know what the sectors have a new articulation. Yes, they do look like 9 points. Yes, they're not highly hyper articulated at all, but they look solid. They look like good figures. So it just depends on what you want. Epic Badger is asking me if I think that Target will restock the Spider Noir 2-pack figure. I doubt it. Unfortunately, I doubt it. I hope they do, but I doubt it. Brick something is saying that the elbows don't seem articulated in the picture except for the in-package renders. Doesn't look like there's any waist or ab articulation. I would venture to guess that the waist is definitely not articulated based on what I've seen, but we don't know that yet. Draft says that, and Usagi Yojimbo, come on, Target, you can do it. Brick is wondering if they're going for very vintage looking sectars. Was hoping for something closer to articulation like Masterverse, Marvel Legends, Mythic Legends, Legions. One thing to bear in mind, and I'm advocating for Nacellas as a fledgling toy company. They're not that much further in the game than Resurrection Toys is. And although they're doing things on a much larger scale than we are, they're still learning things along the way too. Articulation can get to be can be difficult to sculpt if you don't know how to do it. And I don't know who their sculptors are. So there's very much a possibility that this is not a question of not wanting to do that level of articulation, but not being sure how to achieve it on a humanoid figure and maintain the look they were trying to look. I don't know where it falls. I would not be surprised if at some point in the next year or two they start upping their game with articulation, because even their other figures like the comedians line, they don't have the best articulation either. So I'm not really sure, but Jimmy Salzberg says, just got done with work, heading to get dinner, want to share the love. I love you. Good to see you. Not sure why I'm saying it like that, but here we are. Nolan says that Toys R Us has a Spidey Noir for like $80 Canadian. Well, Nolan, you might want to get with Mr. Badger because I think he's looking for one. Jim Salzberg says, you know what else shares the love? The like button, so hit it! Exactly. There you go. Melvor calling out the like button. I know that Badger always calls it out. Now Salzberg calling out. There you go. Dun, 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 dun. It's a thing. It's a real deal. So you got your little bit of Resurrection Toys news. Keep your eyes on the socials for that coupon code. And another question here. Ted Miller says, do you have promotional videos or commercials for the toys on the new YouTube channel? We do for the Xenozilla and Predacon, and we don't have anything that's like pre-made for the other toys. I was planning on making some stuff like that when the toys arrive next week. So it's a good idea. I just want to have the toys in hand so I can film it here and get it done. Um, so that's definitely something that's in the works, but no, nothing at this time. Mainly because I don't want to ask Marcos to do more work with filming, and I also don't want to ask Rolo to try and get something done. The cameras he has are not as high res, and also he's doing so much darn work. So I'll just get it done. I can get it done in a matter of a couple hours once I have them in hand. So yes, that is coming, but you're right. They don't exist yet. Not yet. Not yet. But they're coming. It's a good idea. It's a good idea. So I'll give you guys a couple minutes to wrap up any other questions you might have. In the meantime, I'm going to take a sip of water. 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 Mmm. Tasty water. Yum. Yay. And again, we will be at Retropalooza a week from this Saturday and Sunday. I don't know if we're doing a showing of the film or not, but we're definitely going to be hanging out and having a good time, showing off some toys. Jim Largo would like some more behind the scenes videos with Marcus sculpting and painting in the future. I will talk to him about that. We have a meeting on Thursday. Ian Sweetie, that's it for me right now. Is there a Wilhelm stream tomorrow? That is something that Wilhelm can tell you. 100%. Brick also would like to see more behind the scenes stuff. We can oblige. We just have to make sure that that the fantastic couple is aware of it. So I will make them aware. And I thank you guys for that. So with all that said, I think we've had a great show. Went over a lot of great pre-orders, some toy news, and I had some really fun discussions about them. I had a lot of fun. But before I go, I want to call out Stephen S., who says he's coming in late to your creepy display of saying water I've ever heard. Remind me how glad I am to be here. That was my poor impression of Stripe from the Gremlins. Water. Yeah, there you go. So glad that you're here. You're going to have to catch the replay. And I thank all of you guys for a great time. I always look forward to this on Mondays, and I always worry that I don't have enough show, but we actually made that happen. And Jim Largo does confirm that Wilhelm is streaming tomorrow. So that'll be a great thing for you to tune in on Tuesday. In the meantime, I've been Grindhead Jim. You have been the best. I will see you next week. I love you guys. Cheers.